Everything changed. At my wedding vow renewal, my husband and my stepmom went missing from the bridal tent. I caught them together in the bridal tent, while my guests toasted forever. Can you imagine planning the perfect vow renewal, thinking you're surrounded by love, only to discover the two people closest to you are betraying you in the most unimaginable way? That's exactly what happened to me. It was supposed to be a celebration, a testament to 10 years of marriage, but it turned into the day my world shattered. The Sedona sun beat down on my back as I walked through the venue, making last-minute checks. Everything had to be perfect. I'm a bridal designer after all. Perfection is my brand. This wasn't just a vow renewal. It was a showcase. Calvin, my husband, looked dashing in his linen suit, charming everyone he spoke to. My stepmother, Darlene, was radiant in a custom gown I'd designed for her. A thank you for always being there for me, especially after my father passed. Or so I thought. The ceremony was beautiful. The red rocks provided a stunning backdrop. My vows were heartfelt, honest promises renewed. Calvin's, well, they seemed a little rehearsed, but I brushed it off. Nerves, maybe? As the guests moved towards the reception area for cocktails, someone raised a toast to forever. I smiled, feeling a surge of happiness, a happiness that would be ripped away in mere minutes. After the toast, Darlene disappeared. I assumed she'd gone to freshen up. 15 minutes passed, then 20. A nagging feeling started to creep into my mind. I couldn't shake it. Calvin had also wandered off, saying he needed to make a quick phone call, but he'd been gone far longer than a quick call would take. My heart started to pound in my chest. I tried to tell myself I was being paranoid, that everything was fine, but the feeling persisted. I decided to check the bridal tent, the one I had meticulously decorated with fairy lights and soft fabrics. I told myself Darlene might be helping the photographer with some family photos. As I approached the tent, I heard voices, low, hushed whispers. I recognized Calvin's voice, and then, unmistakably, Darlene's. My breath caught in my throat. What were they doing? I cautiously pulled back the flap of the tent, my hand trembling, and that's when I saw them. Calvin and Darlene, locked in a close embrace. His hand was on her back, and her head was nestled against his chest. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. Everything went silent, except for the deafening roar in my ears. They hadn't seen me yet. I could have turned around, pretended I hadn't seen anything, but I couldn't. I stood there, frozen, watching them. My mind was racing, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. This wasn't possible. This couldn't be happening. She looked up and saw me standing there. Her eyes widened in shock and horror. Calvin turned around slowly, his face a mask of guilt. The silence in the tent was thick enough to cut with a knife. What is going on here? I managed to stammer out, my voice barely a whisper. Calvin looked down at the floor, avoiding my gaze. Darlene stepped forward, her face pale. "It's not what it looks like," she said, her voice trembling. "Oh, really?" "Because it looks exactly like my husband and my stepmother are having a secret rendezvous in the bridal tent at my vow renewal," I said, my voice rising. "Please enlighten me. What exactly is it, if not that, Calvin?" "It just happened," he said weakly. "Just happened?" I repeated, incredulous. "You just happened to be embracing my stepmother in the bridal tent on the day we were supposed to be celebrating our love? How does something like that just happen?" Darlene's eyes started to water. "Please, just let us explain," she begged. "Explain? There's nothing to explain," I shouted, tears streaming down my face. "You've both betrayed me in the most despicable way possible." I turned and ran, blindly, away from the tent, away from the reception, away from the people who had just witnessed my public humiliation. What would you do? Would you have confronted them right there? Or would you have run, like I did? I ended up in the desert, the vast expanse of red rock mirroring the emptiness inside me. I sat there for hours, the sun slowly sinking below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. It was beautiful, but I couldn't appreciate it. All I could feel was pain, betrayal, and disbelief. Later that night, after I'd managed to compose myself enough to face my guests, I found my best friend Sarah, who was staying with me at the resort. I told her everything. She was furious, of course. She wanted me to pack my bags and leave Calvin immediately. "He's a snake," she said, her voice trembling with anger. "And she's even worse. How could they do this to you?" I didn't know. I honestly didn't know. I'd trusted them both completely. I'd loved them both. And they'd both stabbed me in the back. "I don't know what to do, Sarah," I said, my voice breaking. "I feel like my whole life is a lie." "You have to leave him," Sarah insisted. "You deserve better than this. You deserve someone who loves you and respects you, not someone who sleeps with your stepmother." I knew she was right, but leaving Calvin felt impossible. 10 years. We had built a life together, a home, a business, memories. Was it all just a facade? I found him sitting by the pool, looking miserable. "We need to talk," I said, my voice cold. He looked up at me, his eyes filled with regret. "I know," he said softly. "I want to know why," I said. "Why did you do this?" He hesitated for a moment, then took a deep breath. "It just happened," he repeated. The same pathetic excuse he'd given me in the tent. "Darlene and we connected. We started talking, and one thing led to another." "Connected," I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "You connected so well that you decided to betray me on my vow renewal day. That's some connection." He hung his head in shame. "I know I messed up," he said. "I know I hurt you. I'm so sorry." "Sorry isn't good enough, Calvin," I said. "You've destroyed everything. Our marriage, my relationship with my stepmother, everything. I want to fix it," he pleaded. "I want to make things right. I still love you." "Do you really?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Because it doesn't look like it. It looks like you love my stepmother more." He didn't say anything. He just sat there, staring at the ground. "I think you should leave," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "I think you should pack your bags and leave." He looked up at me, his eyes filled with disbelief. "You mean, you want a divorce?" "Yes, Calvin," I said. "I want a divorce. I can't be married to someone who would betray me like this." He stood up slowly, his face pale. "I understand," he said quietly. "I'll pack my things." As he walked away, I felt a strange mixture of emotions: relief, sadness, anger, confusion. But there was more to uncover, wasn't there? Something felt incomplete. Later that day, while packing up the remaining decorations from the vow renewal, I decided to take a closer look at Darlene's room. Maybe I was looking for answers, or maybe I was just looking for something to blame. I don't know. I felt such anger, such a need for answers. I found a small velvet box hidden in her closet. Inside, nestled on a bed of satin, was a ring. Not just any ring. It was my original engagement ring from Calvin, the one he'd given me 10 years ago. I hadn't seen it in years. I thought I'd lost it. My heart sank. This was getting worse and worse. Why would Darlene have my ring? I remembered a conversation I'd had with Darlene a few years ago. I had mentioned that I was thinking of having the ring appraised, just to know its value. She'd seemed overly interested, asking me all sorts of questions about it. I decided to do some digging. I called a local pawn shop, pretending to be interested in buying a similar ring. I described my engagement ring, and to my horror, they confirmed that a woman matching Darlene's description had pawned a ring matching that description a few months earlier. The amount she received? $12,950. $12,950. She had stolen and pawned my engagement ring. The ring that symbolized our love, our commitment, our future. It was beyond comprehension. But why? Why would she do that? The answer came to me in a flash. Darlene had always been secretive about her finances. My father had left her well provided for, but she always seemed to be struggling. I suspected she had gambling debts. This was no longer just about a betrayal of the heart. It was about theft, deception, and financial fraud. I confronted Darlene, of course. She denied everything at first, but when I presented her with the evidence, the pawnshop receipt, the ring, she broke down. She confessed to everything, sobbing uncontrollably. I needed the money, she sobbed. I was desperate. I didn't know what else to do. You could have asked me, I said, my voice trembling with anger. I would have helped you, but instead, you stole from me. You betrayed me. You lied to me. I know, she cried. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Forgive her after everything she had done, after sleeping with my husband, after stealing my ring, after lying to my face for years? Could I ever forgive her? That's when the real moral dilemma hit me. Should I press charges against Darlene? She deserved to be punished for what she had done. But if I did, she would go to jail. She was my father's widow, the woman he loved. Would he want me to put her behind bars? Would he want me to ruin her life? The thought of my father stopped me. He had always been a forgiving man, a man of compassion. He would want me to be kind, even to those who had wronged me. But what about justice? What about the pain and suffering she had caused me? Did she deserve to get away with it? I spent days wrestling with this dilemma. I talked to Sarah, I talked to my therapist, I even talked to a lawyer. Everyone had a different opinion. Some people thought I should throw the book at her. Others thought I should try to forgive her and move on. I decided to take a walk in the desert to clear my head and find some clarity. The sun was setting behind the red rocks, casting long shadows across the landscape. The air was still and silent. It was a beautiful, peaceful place. As I walked, I thought about my father. I thought about his kindness, his compassion, his forgiving nature. And I realized that he wouldn't want me to spend my life consumed by anger and resentment. He would want me to find peace, to find happiness, to move on. I knew then what I had to do. I called Darlene and asked her to meet me. We met at a small cafe with wooden tables and the aroma of coffee filling the air. She looked pale and nervous. I've made a decision, I said, my voice calm but firm. She looked at me, her eyes filled with fear. What is it? She asked. I'm not going to press charges, I said. I'm not going to send you to jail. Her face lit up with relief. Oh, thank you, she cried. Thank you so much. But, I continued, that doesn't mean I forgive you. What you did was wrong, and it hurt me deeply. I don't know if I'll ever be able to fully trust you again. I understand, she said softly. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I want you to pay me back the money you stole, I said. Every penny. I will, she promised. I'll sell everything I own if I have to. I'll pay you back. And I want you to leave, I said. I want you to move away from here. I can't have you in my life anymore. She nodded sadly. I understand, she said. I'll go. I stood up and walked away, leaving her sitting there at the table. I didn't look back. It wasn't easy letting her go. It wasn't easy forgiving her, even partially, but I knew it was the right thing to do. I couldn't let her actions define me. I couldn't let anger and resentment consume me. As for Calvin, he was gone. He'd moved out of the house and filed for divorce. I didn't see him again for a long time. Life went on. I focused on my business, my friends, my family. I started dating again, cautiously, slowly learning to trust again. It took a long time to heal, but I did. I learned that forgiveness is a process, not an event. I learned that it's okay to be angry, but it's not okay to let anger control your life. I learned that even the people you love the most can betray you, but that doesn't mean you should give up on love. Several years later, I was at an outdoor market with Sarah, buying fresh flowers when I saw him. Calvin. He looked older, tired. He was with a woman I didn't recognize. He saw me too. Our eyes met for a brief moment. He looked away quickly, and he ushered the other woman away. I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no resentment. Just nothing. He was a stranger to me. I smiled. I had. And what about Darlene? I heard from her a few years later. She had moved to another state and started a new life. She had paid me back every penny she had stolen as she had promised. She even sent me a letter apologizing again for her actions. I didn't respond. I didn't feel the need to. I had already forgiven her, in my own way. The whole experience changed me. It made me stronger, more resilient, more compassionate. It taught me the importance of forgiveness, the power of moving on, and the value of surrounding yourself with people who love and support you. It wasn't the vow renewal I had planned, but it was the vow renewal I needed. It was the day my old life ended and my new life began. A life filled with strength, resilience, and a newfound appreciation for the simple things. A life built on trust, honesty, and most importantly, self-love. What would you have done in my place? Would you have chosen revenge or forgiveness? Would you have pressed charges against Darlene, or would you have let her go? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories. I felt like a phoenix rising from the ashes. It wasn't easy. There were days when the pain was overwhelming, when I felt like giving up, but I didn't. I kept pushing forward, one step at a time. I threw myself into my work, designing dresses, creating beauty. It was my therapy, seeing a bride's face light up when she found the perfect gown. That made it all worthwhile. It reminded me that even after the darkest storms, beauty can still emerge. One evening, a few months after the divorce was finalized, I received a strange package in the mail. It was a small, unmarked box with no return address. My heart started to pound. What could it be? I cautiously opened the box. Inside, I found a single photograph. It was a picture of Calvin and Darlene, taken recently. They were standing in front of a house, a very modest house. They looked unhappy. Underneath the picture, there was a note. Just one sentence. The truth always comes out. I shuddered. Who sent this? And what truth were they referring to? It wasn't just the affair or the stolen ring. There was something else, something deeper, something more sinister. I showed the photograph to Sarah. She was just as puzzled as I was. "This is creepy," she said, her brow furrowed. "Who would do something like this? And what are they trying to tell you?" I had no idea, but I knew one thing. I had to find out. The photo gave me a strange feeling, a knot in my stomach that wouldn't go away. It was as if I was on the verge of uncovering something truly disturbing. I decided to hire a private investigator, someone who could dig into Calvin and Darlene's lives, someone who could uncover the truth. His name was Michael, a quiet, unassuming man with a keen eye for detail. I met him at a cafe. The coffee aroma was thick, just the way I like it. I explained everything to him, showing him the photograph and the note. "I need to know who sent this," I said, "and I need to know what they're trying to tell me." Michael listened patiently, taking notes in a small notebook. "I'll do my best," he said. "But these things can take time. Are you prepared for that?" "Yes," I said. "I'm prepared for anything." It took Michael several weeks to gather information. He tracked down Calvin and Darlene, confirming that they were living together in a small town in Arizona. They were struggling financially, working low-paying jobs. He also discovered that Darlene had a history of gambling addiction, a secret she had kept hidden from my father. But that wasn't the whole story. Michael also uncovered something else, something much more shocking. He found evidence that Darlene had been having an affair with Calvin for years, even before my father died. Years. My head was spinning. How could this be? How could they have been so deceitful? I felt like I was living in a nightmare. "Are you sure about this?" I asked Michael, my voice trembling. "Are you absolutely sure that Darlene and Calvin were having an affair before my father died?" "Yes," Michael said. "I have proof. I have emails, text messages, even photographs." He showed me the evidence. It was undeniable. Darlene and Calvin had been betraying me and my father for years. My father. He had loved Darlene so much. He had trusted her completely. How could she have done this to him? The pain was unbearable. It was like losing him all over again. I felt a surge of anger, a burning desire for revenge. I wanted to make them pay for what they had done. I wanted to expose their lies, to ruin their lives. What would you do? Would you seek revenge? Or would you try to find a way to forgive them, even after such a deep betrayal? I decided to confront Calvin. I needed to hear it from him, to see the truth in his eyes. I tracked him down to a small construction site on the outskirts of town. He was wearing a hard hat and overalls, looking sweaty and exhausted. He looked surprised to see me. "What are you doing here?" he asked, his voice wary. "I know about the affair," I said, my voice cold. "I know that you and Darlene were having an affair for years, even before my father died." His face paled. He didn't say anything. He just stared at me, his eyes filled with guilt. "How could you do this to me?" I asked, my voice breaking. "How could you do this to my father?" He hung his head in shame. "I'm sorry," he mumbled. "I know I messed up." "Sorry isn't good enough, Calvin," I said. "You've destroyed everything, our marriage, my family, everything." He looked up at me, his eyes filled with tears. "I loved your father," he said. "I never meant to hurt him." "But you did hurt him," I said. "You betrayed him. You lied to him. You used him." He started to cry. "Please," he begged. "Just leave me alone. I can't take this anymore." I turned and walked away. I didn't want to see him cry. I didn't want to hear his excuses. I just wanted to be done with him. I still had to confront Darlene. I found her at a small diner, working as a waitress. She looked worn and tired, her hair pulled back in a messy bun. She saw me coming and her face went white. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I know about the affair," I said. "I know that you and Calvin were having an affair for years, even before my father died." She didn't deny it. She just lowered her head, her shoulders shaking. "I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "I know I did a terrible thing." "You did more than a terrible thing," I said. "You betrayed my father. You betrayed me. You broke our family." "I loved your father," she cried. "I really did. But I couldn't help myself. I was drawn to Calvin. I know it's no excuse, but..." "But what?" I asked. "But you're a selfish, manipulative woman who cares about nothing but herself," I said. "That's what." She looked up at me, her eyes filled with pain.